In a faraway mountain valley, surrounded by whispering pines and silver blue rivers, lived a young girl named Luma. She was small, gentle, and quiet, with eyes that reflected the night sky. But despite her kind heart, her life was not easy. After losing her parents at a young age, Luma was taken in by a strict family who showed her little warmth. They fed her, clothed her, and kept her under their roof, but only so she could work from sunrise to sunset. Every morning, before the birds even began to sing, Luma was already stirring the fire, sweeping the floors, washing the clothes, and tending to the animals. She spun wool, mended clothing, carried water from the river, and never heard a kind word. The three daughters of the house, Brina, Merla, and Siva, did nothing but wander the yard, gossip, and admire themselves in polished metal mirrors. They considered themselves far above Luma and never lifted a finger to help. Yet Luma never complained. She carried her quiet sadness like a soft shadow behind her, dreaming of gentleness, warmth, and a place where she could finally belong. Sometimes at dusk, when the first stars appeared over the mountains, she would whisper wishes into the wind, hoping someone, somewhere, might hear her. One evening, after finishing all her chores, Luma wandered into the forest behind the house. It was the only place where she could breathe freely. Tall pines formed a green cathedral above her head, and the rustling leaves whispered old stories. As she walked deeper into the woods, she felt an unusual calm. The forest seemed alive, as if it were waiting for her. Suddenly, a soft glow flickered between the trees. Luma froze. The light shimmered like stardust caught in the air, floating gently among the branches. She stepped closer, her heart beating fast, and saw a magnificent creature, a deer, snow white and luminous, as if carved from moonlight. Its eyes shone with ancient wisdom, and tiny golden sparks drifted from its antlers, lighting the forest floor. The creature bowed its head toward Luma. It felt like a greeting, like recognition. Luma approached slowly, tears forming in her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt seen. The star deer nudged her gently, and warmth spread through her chest. She whispered to it about her hardships, her loneliness, and her wish for a friend. The star deer listened silently, as if understanding every word. The star deer remained still for a moment, then lowered its glowing antlers and touched Luma lightly on the forehead. Instantly, a wave of shimmering light surrounded her. She felt as though she were being wrapped in warmth and hope. The forest lit up with radiant sparkles that danced between the trees. Then, with a soft melodic voice, carried not through sound, but directly into Luma's heart, the star deer spoke. Whenever you face a task too heavy to bear, come to me. Whisper your wish and step through the light. The forest will guide your hands. Luma gasped. She didn't understand how the magic worked, but she felt the truth of the words. The deer nudged her once more and stepped back. A glowing archway of starlight formed briefly between two trees. Luma hesitated, then stepped through. A feeling of floating washed over her, warm, bright, peaceful. And then she found herself back at the edge of the forest, holding a basket of freshly washed clothes that she had not washed herself. The star deer had done the work for her. Tears of joy filled her eyes. For the first time, she had hope. Days passed, and Luma's chores, once overwhelming, seemed to finish themselves. Clothes mended perfectly, wool spun into soft thread, floors swept spotless. The sisters, Brina, Merla, and Siva, noticed. At first, they whispered amongst themselves. Then they complained to their mother. How could the little orphan who barely had time to breathe suddenly finish all her tasks so quickly and with such perfection? Brina narrowed her eyes whenever Luma walked by. Merla began following her through the house. Siva watched her with cold curiosity. Their mother grew harsh, assigning twice as much work to Luma, trying to break the rhythm of her sudden success. Yet each time, the star deer helped, and the work was done flawlessly. Suspicion turned to jealousy, jealousy turned to anger. The sisters plotted to uncover Luma's secret, determined to take away whatever help she was receiving, no matter the cost. One morning, the mother called her eldest daughter, Brina, my clever girl. Follow Luma today. Watch her every step. I want to know who helps her. Brina proudly agreed. She followed Luma into the forest, trying to appear casual but failing miserably. The sun warmed the clearing, and gentle wind rustled the grass. Luma felt the star deer nearby, but did not reveal anything. Instead, she sat upon a fallen log and pretended to rest. Brina, uncomfortable and impatient, lay on the grass. The warm sun and soft hum of insects distracted her. Before long, her eyes drooped. The moment she fell asleep, the star deer appeared, filling the clearing with shimmering light. Luma stepped through the starlight, and by the time Brina awoke, all the chores were already done. Brina returned home ashamed and empty-handed. Then came the youngest, Siva. Unlike her sisters, she was quiet, calculating, and far more observant. The mother trusted her most. Before she left, her mother warned her, "Don't be fooled. Don't let your eyes rest." But Siva had a secret. She was born with an unusual third sense, a sharper intuition, an inner awareness that helped her stay alert even when her body grew tired. She followed Luma to the forest and pretended to rest like her sisters, but she kept her hidden sense open, watching not with sight, but with inner perception. When the star deer appeared, Siva did not move, but she saw everything. She watched the glowing portal, the shimmering antlers, and Luma stepping through the starlight. Her heart raced. She knew she had found the secret. Siva hurried home and told her mother everything. When the mother heard Siva's story, her face twisted with greed. A magical creature living nearby? A creature that could perform impossible tasks? She imagined all the riches she could command. Gold spun from wool, jewels grown from seeds, treasures summoned from thin air. Her jealousy grew into a dangerous desire. "We must capture this creature," she hissed, "or kill it. Its power will be ours." The daughters, frightened yet fascinated, agreed. That night, they whispered wicked plans around the hearth. Outside, the wind howled, warning Luma even from afar. She felt her heart tremble with fear. The star deer had been the only kindness she'd known for years. She would not let harm come to it. The next morning, the mother waited near the path where the star deer usually appeared. Hidden behind rocks, she carried a sharp iron blade, one of the few things that could wound a magical creature. Luma sensed danger, but it was too late. The star deer emerged from the forest, unaware of the trap. With a cry, the mother leaped forward. A flash of silver light burst across the clearing. The star deer staggered, glowing sparks scattering like broken stars. Luma screamed and ran to its side, tears streaming down her face. The creature lowered itself gently, even as its light dimmed. "Do not grieve, my child," the star deer whispered inside her heart. "My light will not vanish. Gather my stardust, bury it under the tallest tree, and water it every dawn. I will return, in another form." With one last warm glow, the star deer faded into a shower of tiny golden sparks. Luma knelt, sobbing, collecting the stardust in trembling hands. Luma followed the star deer's final wish. She buried the stardust beneath the tallest spruce in the forest and watered it each morning, whispering her hopes into the roots. Days passed, then weeks, and though her body weakened from hunger, she refused to eat food in the house that had betrayed the star deer. She continued to care for the spot. Then, one dawn, the earth shook softly. A shoot of light pushed through the soil. It grew quickly, so quickly it seemed impossible. By midday, A shimmering tree stood tall and proud. Its bark glowed silver, its leaves shone gold, and crystal fruits shaped like tiny stars hung from its branches. Travelers passing by were mesmerized. The magical tree healed wounds, soothed hearts, and filled people with peace. But whenever the cruel family approached, the fruits lifted out of reach, branches straightening like a shield. Only Luma could approach it freely. One afternoon, a young traveler arrived in the valley. He was strong, kind-hearted, and wise beyond his years. Rumors of the glowing tree had reached him from distant lands, and he wished to see it himself. As he approached, the branches lowered, welcoming him, something they had never done for anyone except Luma. The traveler looked around in awe, then noticed Luma tending the roots with gentle care. Her clothes were simple, her hands worn, but her eyes glowed with quiet strength. He approached her with respect. Only someone with a pure heart could nurture such a miracle, he said softly. Luma felt shy, unused to kindness, but the traveler spent time with her, listening to her stories, admiring her resilience, and valuing her for who she truly was. The cruel family watched from afar, furious that the tree's magic favored Luma and that the traveler's kindness did too. The traveler returned many times, each visit deepening his admiration for Luma. One day, he asked her to join him on his journey, to leave behind her sorrow and begin a new life filled with wonder. Luma hesitated, looking back toward the mountain valley, but the magical tree rustled softly, as if giving its blessing. The moment she agreed, the tree burst into dazzling light. From its highest branch, a shape emerged, the gentle outline of a deer made of pure starlight. It bowed to Luma, its glow full of pride. The star deer had returned, watching over her in its new form. The cruel family tried to approach, but a wave of golden light pushed them back. The traveler took Luma's hand, and together they walked toward a brighter future. From that day on, the valley prospered, warmed by the magic of the star tree and protected by the spirit of the star deer. And Luma, once a lonely girl, finally knew what it meant to live in kindness, peace, and love. The end.